Trex Warrior is a 3D arena blaster straight out of Germany. It's Amigos, episode 317. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Trex Warrior. Now, Aaron, you've spent some time in the arena before.
That's true. That's true, Bo. And have you? So, I mean, you've fought in the arena before.
Yeah. Now, tell me about we've heard about all of your humiliating defeats as a karateka, as they say.
Yeah.
Tell me about your most stunning victory.
Well, you know, I most of my defeats were if style, grace, memorization of Okada were involved, that would be the humiliating defeat. But in actual kumite, you know, just like Jean-Claude Van Damme, listen, it was a mixed bag. I'll be honest with you, Bo. But I did come out on top occasionally. I've got two,
what was your coup de grace?
I got 2 third places, you know, and I got jobbed out of both those, by the way, and jobbed out of a 4th place. The old coin, yeah, that's right. But you know, here's the problem: no matter how much karate you teach to like a big lumbering oaf, you can only go so far, you know. So
So when you won those fights, like, what was you had to have had like a finishing move. I mean, I'm not saying that you slammed somebody, but I mean, what you knew you were going to get a point if you could connect with this?
Well, I had the same strategy in like every fight. All right. So the judge had you on the lines. All right. And then he'll be like, Hajime. Yeah. Right. And then you go at it. Right. Well, I knew I couldn't outspeed anybody because I'm a big fat guy, even back in those days. So I would rear way back, coiled like a viper.
Cobra. Yeah.
That's right. And then I would shoot off my back foot and have my knee up. Like up at my side, and have my guard up like this. No, my knee would be tucked upward, right? Not forward. And
like
so Sagat. What that was the old protection racket. And then my goal was to ram the opponent, and then while he was stunned because my weight and girth, that's when I just start unload on him with everything I got. Now, here's the trick. I had an ace up the old sleeve, right? Sometimes they survive the initial attack, right? I hated people that did that. My backup plan, and I can only use this in certain tournaments because it was banned in a lot of tournaments, was the old flip kick to the groin, Bo. One of my personal favorites. Hey, listen, you know, my sensei told me one time, he goes, listen, big fat guy should never kick above the waist. And I took that to heart. He's not wrong. You know, I know my limitations.
Sure.
I mean, I could kick above the waist, but by the time my foot got up there, you could write a sonnet. You know what I'm saying? You got plenty of time. So the old flip kick to the groin was a spectacular move.
I'm not familiar with the flip kick.
Well, we used to use this thing called the Nico Hashidashi stance, which
is
a
stance. Yes,
that's right. You're familiar with that one. And I would, if my initial strike didn't work, I would kind of back off. You know, like maybe they thought I was tired, and then when they came charging in like an idiot, that's when I execute the flip kick, which has been my front leg to the groin. Yeah, I like that one.
Oh yeah.
What about you with the swords? What's your angle?
Well, in the swords, we rarely engage in the kumite, but when I'm in the ring, you know, which my next tournament's coming up November 13th. Be there.
Where's it at?
Roundhouse kick.
Where's the tournament at?
It's at the same place the jiu-jitsu tournament was. It's the Church of the Nazarene up there in St. Albans.
Yeah. It's funny how many churches host these violent affairs.
Yeah.
You ever notice that?
But yeah, roundhouse kick, and I'll tell you why. Because approximately 15 seconds into the match, I'm extremely winded, and I can't do anything of value. But I can sling my leg out there, and I got pretty long legs, and I can kick pretty hard.
Now, do your tournaments are they contested under like karate rules or jiu-jitsu rules? I mean, is there groundwork? There's no groundwork.
You're allowed to throw. But you are not, you know, once you throw, it's just a punch and then a ki.
Can you drop the big elbow on them if you want to, or a leg drop?
Yeah, once they're on the ground, you can do a controlled stomp or a controlled punch, but that's it. But
I like that controlled stomp.
But for me, my goal is to execute at least one throw on my next. You know, and so that's what I'm hoping for.
How many of those have you executed in tournament before today?
Zero throws.
What's your go-to throw? A little hip toss, maybe a little arm drag.
No, it's the old major outer reap. where you grab their collar
Yeah.
and then you do that thing and then take them down.
I would say, here's what I'd like to see you do in tournament, all right? And I think this would be awesome.
Oh, Sotogari.
What you do is you give the guy something where you double him over, then you jump up, bam, Canadian destroyer.
Well,
right
what
there
I
in the middle
could
of
do
the match.
is that is a good idea. They call it a rice bag reversal throw, where you double them over, you grab their head under. I had to do that on my last test.
But listen, what I'm talking about is a flipping DDT or flipping pile driver. That's what I want to see you do.
A flipping. Oh yeah, I know. I've not attempted a pile driver. I'm not sure if that's in the curriculum or not. That's
Tell the sensei you overlooked something. The master missed that back in the day. This kind of gets me fired up to go fight until I realize that I'd be instant murdered. So yeah, fighting days are over, Boat.
Well, I'll tell you what's not over, Aaron, and that's Amiga Addict. Amiga Addict is new.
It's over with me,
Amiga
Boat.
news with all of the fixins, Aaron, all the fixins. And this week, we're taking a spotlight on the most current issue, July 2021, and looking at an article about the Competition Pro Extra USB joystick by the one, the only Duncan Styles.
Look how good Dunk looks right there. He looks like a rock star or something.
Listen, he looks like the third Bitmap brother is what he looks like.
That's a burial, isn't it?
No,
Don't you hate the Bitmap brother?
I do. He could be the cool Bitmap brother, the one cool one. So, Amiga Addict is packed with information. I was scanning through all 60 plus pages looking for something we could talk about this issue. And I came across 3 or 4 articles right away. I was like, well, we definitely need to talk about this. But I decided that since we haven't really covered any hardware stuff on these Amiga Addict ads that we're doing, we should talk about this. Now, Aaron, I know that your joystick of choice is the old Epix XJ5000 or XJ500, otherwise known as the Conic Speed King.
You got that
over
right,
in Europe.
Bud. Yeah.
But I will say that the Competition Pro is probably the most well-known joystick, at least over in the UK and in Europe when it comes to the Amiga. I have. I used one of these over in Amiga Ireland.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to lie to you, Aaron. I thought it was pretty garbage.
Oh!
Yeah.
What's wrong? You didn't like the taste?
It was, maybe it was old. It was a lot like that command control Wico stick that you made me use.
Wico.
You foisted upon me.
It's Wico, not Wico.
Wico.
No.
Listen, you say it wrong, I'll say it the correct way. So
you're killing me.
Now, I will tell you this. I think that this thing has they've replaced, and it's possible that maybe some of these did come with micro switches, but I don't think the one that I used over in Ireland did. This new one definitely has micro switches. So Duncan says that it's good, but it's a little bit noisy. It does retain the both left and right fire buttons, so if you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter. And of course, it is USB compatible, so you can use a USB adapter with your real Amiga if you want to, or you plug it right into your Amiga emulator and go to town.
Or you
could even plug it into the upcoming Amiga Mini 500 when it is released here next year.
Yeah, good point, Bo. Yeah, I've never got to use one of these ever in my whole life. I've never even seen one in person to held in my hands.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen one around here, but over at Amiga Ireland, it seemed like every other table had one of these things.
What you need to do is cover it in that dead skin rubber that I like on the Wico, man. Because you got ultimate grip. Yeah. You got ultimate grip on that.
That's true. I'm surprised that more sticks didn't come in that sort of cadaver flesh. So
we're
Aaron,
keyboards too, Boat.
Yeah, that's true. So in closing, Amiga Addict. It's Britain's best-selling active Amiga magazine. It can be yours. It's released every month. You can check it out over at amiga-addict.com. We appreciate Amiga Addict and thank them for being an official sponsor of Amigos.
Yes.
Aaron, it's been a busy week in the world of Amiga news. Shall we check out what's on the headlines?
Yes, let's do it, Bert.
Amiga news.
Yeah. All right,
Aaron. Right out of the gate, we have a new video from a friend of the show, Amigos supporter Chris Edwards. He is talking about how to flash and erase Amiga EEPROMs. Now, Aaron, you check this out. What's the lowdown on this video?
Well, listen, I would never try it, because the way I flash stuff involves a raincoat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But Chris
and a jail sentence.
What is that, a jailable offense now? The old flash?
Was it ever not a jailable offense?
I don't know. Never really thought about it. But by the way, look at the cool robot that Chris has on his desk there. I love those. Anyway, he gives you the full skinny, brother. Chris has a bunch of videos out. He releases these things like clockwork, and always a good time. He goes through it. He goes through the whole bit here. You know, we used to burn EPROMs when I worked at Lexmark for the printers. You know, and it's amazing how how many times you botch the job on that. Man, I've seen some. You put a botched up EPROM in something, and you get some weird results, buddy. I can tell you that right now. It's some strange stuff. But yeah, Chris knows what he's doing. He's an old school geek type. He reminds me he's like a more skilled version of me, a lot more skilled and a lot more gutsy. I wouldn't try half this stuff, but he gets in there and gets it done. Good stuff. And I highly advise you give this a whirl, Bo, especially if you're getting into this sort of thing. Way out of our league, Bo. We don't play in this realm.
Absolutely. All right, moving on down the line. We have another video. This is actually from a very popular YouTuber out of Germany. This is Jan Beta, and he is actually taking a look at an Amiga 1200 that was saved from the flood. Aaron, I'm sure you recall the catastrophic floods that happened in Germany earlier this summer.
Yeah, man. You know, it's amazing how many floods are. Everyone's getting a taste of the flooding, man. It sucks. It's horrible, but Germany really got nailed.
Yeah. And so Jan goes through this video, and he takes an A1200 that's just been ravaged by the storm and lovingly brings it back to life. This is just part one of a multi-part series of videos. But Jan,
it doesn't look too bad in there. This one looks like, now the keyboard, holy smokes, that's where you're going to get hosed. And of course, if it's in there for too long. By the way, Doug has corrected us. It's Jan.
Listen. I'm saying it as Jan just to make Doug upset.
Yeah, but you don't want to make Jan mad.
Jan's used to it. Me and Jan go way back. So anyway,
I didn't know that.
If you want to see Jan take this thing apart, put it back together, listen, if you're not subscribed to this guy's channel already, you need to be, because he does all kinds of cool retro stuff. Make sure you check it out. And, you know, he's doing the Lord's work, bringing back Amigas from the dead, for sure.
I didn't know you watched this guy's stuff, Bo.
Oh, yeah. He's all over the Twitter.
Yeah. He does some crazy stuff.
All right. Let's move on, Aaron, to some gaming news, huh?
Okay.
So there is a new, well, it's not a new, it's a recently released dungeon crawler for the Amiga. It's called Blade. And this is, it's a follow-up. I guess this game was originally supposed to come out pretty late in the Amiga's life. I think it was originally released in 1996. It was supposed to come out, but it was dogged by development challenges, and then of course the Amiga sort of died. So, but anyway, it's come back. This is a sequel to a game called Hilt. Aaron, did you ever play Hilt?
I've never even heard of that one, Boaster.
No. This is the type of game that looks like if you are into maybe like the Gold Box series of D&D and stuff like that. It's one of those isometric 3-quarter adventure type games.
Your favorites.
Yeah, I can't get enough of these things. But this is, you know, it's called a dungeon crawler. Maybe you do go into a dungeon. That's what Neil calls it on this Indie Retro News article. But it's a lot of sort of above ground exploration, at least from the video, kind of reminiscent of maybe the Lord of the Rings game that we played a year or so ago. So, but yeah, if you're interested, you can follow the development of this. There's a link in the show notes. Of course, always check out Indie Retro News for the hottest new game action for old systems.
You know, I'm looking at this, and this looks like listen, this is not my bag, and I doubt it's yours, but I know for a fact there's a lot of people out here would be like love it on this. This looks like it's right up their alley. I'm just looking at the way the guys move around, the way you move stuff, the way it looks. So yeah, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
So Aaron, we come at last to Retro Rewind. Aaron, you love Retro Rewind. I love Retro Rewind. They are your one-stop source for all your Commodore-related needs. Whether you have an Amiga, a C64, or even if you're one of the few people that enjoys playing on their Commodore 16, you can find what you need at Retro Rewind. They offer recap services. They offer restoration services if you've got ports that need redone, reflows, anything like that. Plus, they offer a whole bunch of chips. Speaking of EPROMs, they got EPROMs out the wazoo. I'm sure Chris Edwards probably ordered his EPROMs direct from Frank and the boys over at Retro Rewind. They got the Kung Fu Flash Cart. They got all your diagnostic tools. Guys, if you have not checked out Retro Rewind and you are looking for a quality establishment to order new hardware for your classic Commodore computers, look no further. Check them out. And guess what? You can save 10% off any order just by using the code Amigos10 at checkout.
Let me just say this about Retro Rewind, but we've been at this for a while now, and we've seen a lot of these places come and go. But Frank at Retro Rewind, I can tell you without hesitation that I recommend his service. Its quality. I recommend him as a quality person. And I think that he will take care of you. And if you're in North America in particular, he is a good guy to go to. He is very skilled, and he is very knowledgeable, and he knows what he's up to. So give him a shot.
Yes, yes. All right. So, Aaron, it's time. It's time. I wish they would have named this game Trex in Effect after one of the greatest bands of all time. Remember old Rex in Effect?
No, I think every time I see the name of this game, I think of T-Rex. You know, Bang a Gong.
Oh yeah, well you could think about that. Really, T-Rex, Mark Bolan, and Rex in Effect are almost the same group. I think that they did a couple records together. So, Aaron, let's talk about Trex Warrior.
Trex Warrior. You know, what do you think of this, Bo? Is this one you touched on in the past?
Never heard of this one.
Now I'll tell you, I knew I recognized this. Because we came across this during one of my streams once. But the funny thing is, I only remember the opening. Like, I'd never actually played the game. Ever.
It is a striking opening.
Well, it's unusual with the drops. It's a very demo scene-ish opening, you know. And this game has a full story that comes before the game even gets underway. But you mentioned me. This is the first time you'd given this one a whirl.
Yeah.
So, and me too, game-wise. So, Trex Warrior, the full title, Trex Warrior, 22nd Century Gladiator is the name of this particular offering. Released in 91 on one disc, published by Thalion and presumably developed in-house by them. Here's a wacky thing about this game. If you were in the UK or pretty much anywhere else that got magazines, this game was given away on a magazine cover. But
wow, full game was given away.
Yeah, it was the one August 1993, and then apparently it was also given away again and eventually in Germany in Amiga Fun 94. Now I know for a fact this was sold in Germany at full price. By the way, because I saw some people complaining about the fact that they had paid full price for this thing, and it wasn't cheap. I did the conversion on it. And it was like, it was a full price. It was over $30.
Yeah.
So it was a full price game. Now, why they chose to, I tried to find out why you would give a game away that you sold. And
money, Aaron.
You think the magazine paid them a bunch of cash?
The one probably paid them more than they would make if they offered it for sales. I mean, just think about the amount of piracy on the Amiga.
Well, yeah, I didn't think of it that way, to be honest with you, Bo, but you might be onto something. Though, of course, it came out on the magazine in August of 93, but it came out in box form in 91. So there isn't.
Yeah. Also,
by that time, I figured,
sort of an alternative to releasing it as a budget title.
Yeah.
You could go the magazine cover route.
I did not see a box for this that was not in German. I mean, I didn't see like on the back. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. So I'm going to go on the assumption that this never got a full release. I never saw anyone on any of the places, the forums or whatnot, that wasn't German that said they had to pay for this. But there you go. Your mileage may vary. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Again, this was published and presumably developed by Thalion. They've done probably the greatest Amiga game of all time. Lionheart was their baby. But they've done, I was surprised how much stuff they had just published. As a publisher, both they published quite a bit of stuff. Some of it's their own stuff. Just to go through a few things they did the A320 Airbus. They did Amber Moon and Amber Star. They did the Chamber of Shaolin. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Dragon Flight, Ghost Battles, Magic Lions. No Second Prize. That was one of theirs. We looked at that one
motorcycle game. Yeah,
that was a neat one. This thing sold for, it was about 23 pounds or $50 US when this came out in Germany. The people that worked on this were Michael Bittner, He, among other things, he was responsible for some of the art Lionheart, Airbus, Amber Moon, a lot of the offerings from Thalion. The graphics on this were done by Eric Simon. Of course, we know him from Lionheart, and he also worked on Chamber of the Shaolin. Again, a bunch of the stuff from Thalion. The music in this was Steve Collette, who worked on a game called Campaign and one called Rubicon. So there you go. This was a OCS ECS joint. This was actually converted over from the ST, which is interesting to me. This and the only places that, as far as I can tell, it got releases of this were the Amiga and the ST boat. So let's talk about this game. We've mentioned it. We sort of tipped our hand early. Let's talk about the opening of this game, which starts off with a picture of like a wall with like multicolored droplets coming down it. It's the best way to describe it. And it was quite an interesting way to open the game. It kind of sits there for a while, doesn't it? They're in a hurry to get the game started.
Well, yeah, I mean? They want you to watch their opening demo for sure.
Yeah. So this thing has I would not say intricate backstory, but it does have a backstory. And I'm just going to read a little snippet of it here. In the 22nd century, gladiator battles are highly important. All right. In fact, they've taken over all the other sports as the most popular sport. You are the Trex veteran Rhino Bowler, and you've got to fight through 5 planets with 30 sundry enemies. And your object of this is to get to the very end, where you will fight the guy that for all intents and purposes, killed your character in the previous battle. You're coming back in disguise to seek vengeance on this guy. And that's the whole goal of the game. This game actually has 5 different planets you fight on, and you work your way through each one. The first 2 have basically, you work days. So it'll be day 1, and then you'll finish that day, and then day 2, and so on and so on. The first planet is Brand 6. You've got 4 days on that. Then you fight the champ. Oceana, same thing. Hades is 5. Then the next planet is Lang Wan, which is 6 days. And finally, you go to Earth for a 7-day tour, and then you fight the champ. It reminds me of wrestling when you go to Japan, Boat. You're on stints. Before we get into the game proper, what did you think of the opening, the story, the music, the graphics? How did it hit you, Boat?
It reminded me a lot of Ball Blazer, to tell you the truth. I think, Flack just did a Sprite Castle on Ball Blazer not long ago.
I was going to mention that too, yeah.
All of the, future sport references combined with the first-person perspective, it was hard for me to shake that Ball Blazer feel throughout. Yeah. Now, of course, the actual game itself, what you do in the game is different than Ball Blazer. But it definitely, I wonder if that was any kind of an influence to the people that created this.
Well, I don't know how they could not have at least been aware of it. Let's face facts. In fact, I sent you a note earlier this week that mentioned the exact same thing. So when you get into the game proper, you are set up in your ship, and it's time for the first day of battling on Brand 6. That's the name of the planet. And now, so let's talk about the game and the interface. So when I first moved this game up, I couldn't figure out how to accelerate for the longest time until I found out that this is a game you play with the mouse. Boy,
yes.
I was surprised by that. I didn't expect that, I'll be honest with you. But it is. And so what you do in the game is one mouse button fires, and then the other mouse button accelerates, but you don't just hit the button to accelerate. You have to move the mouse you hold it and kind of move the mouse forward a little bit to accelerate, and then backwards to decelerate. You'll recall a game we did a couple weeks ago, Boat, that public domain game we played. The one I really liked, that was sort of like Defender.
Yeah, the 3D Defender.
Yeah, I wish
Alienator.
That's
Bam.
right. I wish this game had the acceleration of that game. Because right out of the gate, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme as I get into this, let me repeat this, I hated the acceleration in this game. In fact, I think it ruined the game, personally. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute, but that's the controls. So you start off in a battlefield I would say the skyline's almost reminiscent of like one of the old Atari Activision games, Boat. That's got that kind of, you know what I'm talking about, where it has that kind of sunsetting.
Gradient City. Absolutely.
That's right. You're in an arena, a closed-in, walled-in arena. Would you say polygonal? Is that about right? And you're in first-person view inside of a tank. So you basically see, you're looking through a window. And on the right side of the screen, you see how much shield you have, how fast you're going, and the temperature that you're putting up when as you shoot, because you have to let your guns cool down, sort of like a Mech Warrior type game. On the left side, it tells you your enemies, and then in the middle is sort of a radar. This radar reminds me, it's like what would it look like if they had radar for all the items in Super Frog? That's what it reminds, because this radar I found mostly useless because there was so much stuff on there.
Mostly useless. This is the most useless radar that's ever been.
Okay, thank you, Boat. So before we go any further, give me your thoughts on the controls, the interface, and the way your perspective, Boat.
I didn't have as many problems with the controls as you did. I thought that the controls were okay. Would I have preferred WASD? I mean, yes, of course. But
absolutely.
But I didn't have too much trouble. For example, like pretty early on, you have to be able, you get on one of these jump pads and you have to jump onto one of these walled areas.
Yeah.
They include a dead stop button, which is the space button. And that helps a lot because the biggest problem is just controlling your momentum. Like I said, the controls were okay. I was very surprised at sort of the speed of the game. I thought was impressive, but at the same time, it sort of left me lacking. Like, remember we played that other game that was the 3D game where you were in a mech suit. You know what I'm talking about? That was sort of the puzzle game that was extremely hard to figure out.
Yes. I do remember
that game also moved very smoothly, but it was also populated by more stuff.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that I would see more stuff. I guess initially I was disappointed by just sort of the flat environment. Again, it just seemed like Ball Blazer maybe ×2 instead of ×100 like the Amiga was capable of, you know?
Yeah. I think that graphically, listen, they've got a nice engine here, I think. It's colorful. I like and as you go to different planets, you're going to see different arenas. And I mean, when I say arena, I mean, think arena in its most basis sense. I mean, like a real, a set of walls, and it's not like there's a screaming crowd or something.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No. For a sport that's wildly popular, nobody's watching it.
I'm assuming that they're all at the house, watching on PPV. Because you don't want to get near these vehicles. They're exploding and crap's flying around. There's missiles.
Listen, man, NASCAR. That's what it is.
But they don't have missiles in NASCAR. They don't have
not yet.
Yeah, I would watch NASCAR if they had guided missiles or heat seekers. But so the whole game, and this game is one of those games that's not gonna take a long time to describe. So you're in your tank or whatever this vehicle is called. You're driving around, and your goal is to take out the enemies that will spawn on the battlefield. And then you go wave after wave. And as I mentioned, the waves are split into days. And after you get through all the waves, you'll fight the boss. When I say boss, don't think you're fighting like a giant tarantula that looks like it's like in a mech or a huge. You fight like a big car, sort of like what you're driving. It's not like I mean they're different colored or anything, but they're not like it's not anything super awesome. So. Your enemies you're going to encounter are varieties of different tanks. Some of the tanks there are some things that can fly, so you've got those to contend with. I didn't get super far into the game, if I'm honest. I had to cheat, and then I had to watch videos to see how it went in the later levels because I couldn't get that high. I was stinky at this game, all right? I tried and tried. I was very frustrated when I was playing this game just because I did not do well at it. And I would watch videos of playing it, and people were doing great. Why did I suck? I don't know what I did wrong.
I think the problem with this game is that they made the incoming missiles too big. Okay, so everything in this game, whenever you have a 3D game, everything's huge because they've got to make it big so it can register with the system. But when you've got an enemy firing at you and your entire screen is taken up by their bullets, it's hard to know how to evade that. That's a big problem. Now, I mean, I've got several problems with this game, but if we just focus in on why this game is so hard, I think that's why. I think if they could have possibly figured out a way to make the bullets smaller and give you more time to strategize and get out of the way, having a more useful radar, having a useful radar would have been very helpful. The way that they put every object on the play field on the radar, like, here's the thing about radar. You've got to be able to look at it at a glance and for it to be useful.
Yes.
And you can't do that with this radar.
I'm glad, listen, sometimes I just think you're an idiot. You're no good at this. But I mean, the radar, I'm like you. Like in the other game, that Alienator, you can look at the radar and instantly you knew everything that was going on. It was perfectly done, right? This radar has two. Now, this stuff, some of this stuff's important. It puts out points because there are various points on the game board or on the arena that you need to know about, like where the bounce pads are, where the power ups are. But I mean, it's too much.
And here's the thing: at least in the arenas that I played, and maybe later on in the game, this is a different issue. But these arenas are super small. I mean, comparatively to what they might be. You can do a 360 spin and see everything in the arena. You don't need to be able. You don't need that to figure out where the jump pad is.
Well, you're right, but there are power ups. I mean, listen, I didn't use it for that. Don't get me. I don't want you to think that. Well, Aaron, man, he's really got a grip on this. I didn't. All I wanted the radar to tell me is where the enemy was. And when I look at the radar and there's like 600 dots, I'm like, oh,
it's
God.
No
so what happens then? And oh, by the way, as this is happening, someone's lighting up your hiney with bullets because the computer comes out of the gates and starts going to work instantly. You don't have time to figure out what's going on. When the game first comes up, it gives you some orientation time. It's what it's called. But, I mean, there's no enemy there. So you can sort of drive around and look at the field.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I will say it is nice that they put that in. That's not something that a lot of games put in from this time. So I do appreciate that. Whether it was necessary on every single level, I think is questionable. They do offer that on every single level. What I would have liked, and we say this all the time, is just a dummy arena where you have a bunch of drones that cannot fire upon you that you can go around and you can take pot shots at to work on your skills.
I could get past the radar. Okay. I didn't like it, but I could get past it. I could not get past the acceleration in this. I could not do it. And keep it in mind, I was playing this on the Mister with a proper mouse and a mouse pad. I was set up. It wasn't like I was using the tank mouse here. And I could not come to grips with the accelerating, deaccelerating thing. I just hated it. It's a stupid way to do it. You'll recall we mentioned that the guys behind this did No Second Prize, which was another game that was a motorcycle game with mouse controls, and I thought they worked better in that than this. But even in that, I'm like, we got a joystick here. What are we doing? And this game would be perfectly fine. There is no reason that you need a mouse for this game. There should have at least been. I thought, man, surely they put in some kind of ability to turn on the joystick. I couldn't find nothing to turn the joystick on. I just want to push forward to go forward. I don't want a little meter like that. And the fact that you're using the mouse for multiple tasks at once.
To add insult to injury, did you watch the end of this game?
I did watch. You mean the very end of it?
Very end. Yeah. So you see the guy look down at his controls, and he's controlling it with a yoke.
Yes, I saw that too.
He's not controlling it with the mouse. They should have given you a joystick or a keyboard option.
I would have killed for like a road blaster, like a pedal, and like a yoke like that guy had. I would have killed for that in this game. I mean, I think this game would be a lot of fun, and I guess the people that really enjoyed it came to grips with the controls. I just couldn't do it. We should mention, we would be derelict in our duties if we didn't mention some of the other aspects of the game here. As you go through the game boat, you're earning credits because it's one of those deals where you earn credits to buy goods. All right. Now I looked at some of the goods that were for sale here. Did you go to the store and fool around with this? Because there's some pretty good stuff. I bought some stuff. I don't know if did you buy anything while you're playing?
I did. I felt like it looks like a lot of games you really have to save up a lot of money to get the good stuff, but they do give you enough cash to get some stuff right out of the gate. You can buy some missiles, you can buy some health packs. So
So they got missiles, shockwave, high energy MK2 like a laser, the Turbo XL GSI, which again this makes you faster. Binary Charge 1, the weapon cooler, which I was okay with the weapon heat idea, because I've played a lot of mech games that have that, and I think I always like that sort of element to a game, so I don't have a problem with that. And the fact that you can buy something to make your weapons run cooler, pretty good. The Positronic 2.9, which is presumably I never got that, but it helps you have a better grip or move at a better pace. And the shield reloader, I will say I thought they gave you a pretty good amount of shields. I mean, for the most part, I don't have much trouble with this game. I thought they gave you a goodly amount of shields. I thought the store was okay. The credits angle was okay.
Listen.
I didn't have any problem with any of that stuff.
Knowing that this was given away for free on a magazine cover makes me feel a whole lot better about this.
Yeah.
Because at its core, this is a very simple game that is not worthy of a full-price retail release. It's just not. There's just not enough there. It's an arena fighter where you fight stuff over and over and over again. There's not enough here, in my opinion, to make this a 25-pound game. But this is an excellent, I mean, if I were to buy the one and get the issue that this came with and pop this into my Amiga, heck yeah. I mean, that's a bonus. That's great. So I'm not going to bury this game, but I think it's a little bit too difficult. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. And I think that they should have included alternative controls and made the bullets smaller as they approach you. If they would have done that, this would have been one of the all-time classic sort of simple public domain type games out there.
I'm going to tell you how to fix this game. So anyone that goes through and does this, like this is one of those games where you can go and tinker. Here, I'm going to tell you what to do, right? When you rig this up for CD32 controllers, that right there instantly makes this a better game.
Yeah.
Secondly, and you can't do this, but put a filter, and I've played tons of games, including mech games, put a hotkey on the keyboard that lets you filter through what you're seeing on the radar. If I want to see where the bounce pads are, I can put it on full spec. If I just want to see the enemies, just let me hit a button so I see the enemies. I don't need to see all this crap, all right? So that would help. But the most important thing is, listen, they've got to do anything about the speed. I'll take any alternative for the speed, like you said with the controls. Everything else I think is pretty good. But what's this game screaming for, Boat? It's one thing that it doesn't have that games before it did have, which is split-screen multiplayer. Yeah. If you put two people in this arena, then you got something, Boat.
Right,
I mean,
and that
everything
was,
here...
Again, that's what Ball Blazer did, and Ball Blazer was great.
Everything here is better than Ball Blazer, all right? The graphics are better, it sounds better, it plays better, it's more fun than Ball Blazer by a country mile, okay? It's got all those elements down. But not having two players is a problem. And the thing is, with the store and with the way the different arenas, this could be a pretty fleshed out two-player game.
Absolutely.
In fact, you could even have two players versus the computer if you wanted to, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe now, is that asking too much? Well,
I don't think so.
I mean,
I don't think so.
My Atari 7800 could play two-player Ball Blazer, and systems a lot lower on the food chain than that can do two players at once. So I'm pretty sure the Amiga could have hacked it, brother, with two players. I would have liked to have had more tunes in the game. You're a big tunes guy.
Yeah.
Music. Where's that? Again, here's another one. I want some fleshed out stuff. Now, again, if they're giving it away, but I mean, this wasn't originally a giveaway game. Right. So it's hard to give it that crutch because they were asking money for this thing, so they should have delivered.
Yeah, but they were asking money for homers. It's just like whenever anything comes out of a British studio, people in England fall over themselves to get it. Same thing in Germany.
This game did you use the cheat code on this thing?
Heck yeah, I used the cheat code. In fact, it took me forever to get the cheat code working. Yeah. And then I did a save state because I knew I wouldn't be able to get it working again. Yeah. It was tough to put in.
I'm glad you said that because I had trouble too. If you watch the credits at the end of this game, it says Trex will return in another Thalion game. I would be interested to know if he ever returned, Bo. I'm saying this came out in '91. They had plenty of releases after this.
Yeah, Thalion. I mean, they were just getting started in '91.
So one would wonder if he ever actually came back into the fold here. We mentioned both that this got a dual release, and this came out on both the Amiga and it came over from the Atari ST. If you look at the two games side by side, which is, if you're watching the video, that's what we're doing, they're very, very similar, aren't they, both?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would be hard-pressed to tell the difference between the two.
I mean, I'm looking at these, and it's almost, if I didn't know I had done the video, I'd think it was the same video twice. I think the sky might be a little bit more fleshed out in the Amiga, a little bit more colorful, but pretty much that's the long and short of that. So, I don't think you're gonna make it any better by playing on the SD, but you might. You know, without playing it, you never know. But it in terms of graphically, it looks almost exact, Boatster.
Absolutely.
So first of all, I looked this up on eBay. Let's get to that. I found none for sale. I found none of the cover discs for sale, and I found none that had sold anywhere. So I don't know how rare these are to come by. I'd wager a box copy of this that from Journey might go for a few bucks. You know, having not seen any. The reviews for this were quite generous, if I'm honest, Boat.
Let me guess, Amiga Joker loved it.
Well, that's funny you should mention that, Bo, because I've got a score for them here. So, Lemon gave the people over at Lemon give this an 8.12, a very high score. I think it is.
That's fair to Midland for Lemon.
Listen, if that's a higher score than Alienator game, then
people
don't know.
People never play. Listen, we got to stop talking about Lemon scores like they mean anything.
They do. They mean plenty because there's a lot of good users that give you good information there. Amiga Joker gave this a 78. So
yeah,
for them, that's like an A with 12 pluses.
Look up what they gave to all the Thalion games.
What do you think that Thalion? That they love them? Hey, Thalion puts out good stuff. What do you want? ASM gave this a 75. Power Play a 74. So this got pretty good scores in Germany, where it was. It's funny that the magazines in the UK never reviewed this. And you think
because it was only released as a cover disc.
Right, but you think that the one that put it out there might have a review of it. Did we get any Discord action on this boat?
We did. We did get some Trex Warrior action, man. I'm jumping right to it with speed you can hardly believe. Here we go.
I can believe the speed, but I'm not going to lie to
you. Lord Soup writes, a great game from Thalion, released in the UK on a cover disc. Take your craft, blow up various kinds of vector bots, and get money. Escape dying enough, and you can buy upgrades for your skiff. Controls with a mouse are slick and responsive once you're used to them. Play on a faster Amiga, and the extra processing power is used by the game to smooth out the refresh rate, although for a filled vector game, it runs fairly smooth on a stock A500. Great game, 9 out of 10.
Oh, who was that?
That was Lord Soup.
All right. Keep going.
Sky76 says, a great 3D action game with filled polygons and fast arena action that played very well on our stock Amiga 500. Pure fun. Excellent spatial sound effects, smooth controls, simple gameplay. What's not to love about that? 8 out of 10. I didn't notice the spatial sound effects. That would be cool. I guess I didn't really see. It would be neat if you could hear things approach from left or right.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. I was too busy panicking. That's probably why I didn't hear it.
Duncan Styles writes, something a bit different for the Amiga. Cool music, simple but fast 3D graphics, but above all, there is good gameplay in there. Thalion putting their 3D engine to good use here. No score, I shall simply say that I like this game. And Pajako, he says, again, proving that the Amiga could do vector 3D stuff with good frame rate. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Epic. He says, Trex Warrior is a fun, fast-paced shooter with roots in Battlezone. It has great sound in 3D, and the intro sequence is stonking. Stonking, Aaron. I found turning the ship a little oversensitive, but I'm sure I could get used to it. A must-play, 8 out of 10.
You know, I'm going to say this. After hearing those reviews and reading the reviews, right? This thing's coming in as a solid B, all right, generally. Or even an A by some people. There is something to be said, but we've talked about this before. I will say the game is a polygon-based game running on a stock Amiga at a good speed. And a lot of people mention that in their reviews, right? When you're not used to these sorts of games and you get one that's actually a functional, playable game that runs at a good clip, I can see where that would stick with you over the decades and make you think about this in a great light. I personally wasn't a huge fan, but if you put yourself back in the day and you put this on your machine, I can see where this would blow your mind to a certain degree.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to get yourself back in that mindset.
Yep.
To look at a game like this, but I mean, yes, is it a nice 3D engine? It's pretty good. Is the game? I mean, like I said, if they could have easily made the game better, it's okay to me. But I can see why people love it, Boatster.
Yeah. I always have this game that I play in my mind where I'm like, the intro sequence and the end game sequence when you finally beat the game. are very well done, and
Yeah,
I just
the
wish
ending
that they
was
would have
good.
maybe spent half as much effort on those sequences and filled in, maybe put a little story in between each level, maybe showing your craft, zooming off one planet and coming onto another, put you into the story a little bit more than at the very beginning and at the very end.
I will say
So,
Thalion does excel themselves. Again, we've talked about no second place. This is this engine that they've put together, their ability to work within a 3D area. Yeah, I'll give them credit for that. They were working outside the box on a stock Amiga to pull these tricks. So I salute them for that. But hey, this ain't no Lionheart, brother, if you know what I mean.
ain't no country club either.
Mm-mm.
So, Aaron, we move on from Thalion, and it's been a very, very busy week over on the old YouTube channel. Why don't we see what's been going on over there, man?
That old-timey YouTube channel, Bo. Holy smokes. Well, let me get my bearings here. So, let's talk about, boy, me and the Brent. We were at it again this week, and we did a little show on, I have to say, Bo, this is one of my favorite shows that we've done in recent memory. The Ohio Scientific Challenger boat.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you mentioned NASCOM several times during this show, and both this and the NASCOM episode are among my favorites.
Well, it's just the backstory. Brent just randomly picked this like an idiot because he didn't know what's going on. And by the way, Brent just made up about 25 new pie pieces. I am scared to death to receive these, and I know they're coming. It's like, oh my god. But the Ohio Scientific Challenger was just a machine made just right down the road there in Ohio, Bo, not too far from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was a mom and pop sort of joint they put together. And this is a fairly capable machine. And they made a ton of machines in the short time they were around. And I really enjoyed this. Not so much for the games. The games are pretty much standard fare. But just to look back at the way computers used to be, the Wild West of computers, where smart people could gather and have a chance to put something out there that was going to make them a few bucks,
Yeah.
And ultimately, I would call the Ohio Scientific a success story. They ended up being bought out, so they made, I'm sure they made some bucks on it at the end of the day, and were around for a while, in name at least, for a good while. So I really enjoyed this one. I had a good time on this one. So if you're into that, check us out over at ARG Presents. It was a lot of fun, Boat. Let's take a look here, Boaster. Well, let's talk about me. Hey, I'm not going to not lie. I love it. Last Friday night, but it went down. It was the Commodore VIC-20 on the Friday Night Disaster stream, Boat. Let me tell you something. About half the games I tried didn't work, Boat, on the old Mister.
I watched your stream. That's true. Accurate.
But here's the beauty part, right? Because I love my people, right? I went and edited that stream down to a tight 1 hour and 13 minutes of non-stop action.
Oh, okay.
No loading.
I'm gonna have to jump back in then.
There's no loading. There's no me sitting around going, how does it work? That's how I roll. So anytime you see one of my disaster streams show up on YouTube, you're like, my God, what a slick operator. You're right. But that's because I had to edit it down. But yeah, we played a lot of games from the old Vic. I hadn't played a whole lot of Vic, to be honest with you.
Me neither. And
some of these games were pretty fun. I really had a good time with a lot of these bad boys. I mean, some pretty original stuff in here too, Bo. So if you're into the Vic, or you just think you might dig the Vic, and you just want to watch, an hour and about 15 minutes of me playing like about 1 million Vic games, like this is a stream for you. And in there with all my buddies in chat, we had a good time. Let's talk about, oh man, here it is. This week's Sprite Castle. Did you catch any of this, Bud? I caught the tail end of it.
I have not seen this one yet. I'm going to have to give it a watch this weekend.
Racing games, Boat. And I'm looking at what he's got on tap here. We were looking at the Great 1,000-Mile Rally, which I've never been any good at that game, the arcade game. I believe I saw a little off-road in here. Yeah, you got to have that in there, Bo. Now, that's a favorite of ours.
Yeah, it is.
We've played that many times. In fact, on the actual arcade machine. Looks like that one gets a lot of play. So this is another Jack Flack joint. He's always entertaining. If you get a chance to check this one out, I guarantee you'll enjoy it. Sprite Castle plays racing games. And an FYI, Boat, Flack has recently released his newest, You Don't Know Flack, and it was about breakfast cereal.
That's right. I'm listening to it right now. I listened to it this morning.
I finished it up today. And I'll be honest with you, this is another one of those where I'm like, because I'm not a big, and by the way, I'm a Raisin Bran guy myself. But
That's no good,
I will
man.
say I did like the old Pac-Man cereal back in the day. But I got to give the Flaxter credit. This guy could talk about. He could do a show on on a manure salesman. It would be entertaining because he's got the gift of gab, brother. He can do the work.
He does. He makes it work. But I mean, listen, he's got the ultimate combination of being great on the stick and having a fantastic memory.
Yeah, no kidding. He's remembered all his breakfast cereal stuff. I can't remember that crap. Are you kidding me? Good God Almighty. So anyway, check that out. That's good stuff. Sprite Castle plays racing games. We're gonna skip the Patreon song here, Bo. This should never be viewed. This was just last week's
song. Yeah.
If you want to check that out, give it a whirl. Now we're gonna do a little ditty about this later, but we might as well just talk about it now. Of course, we've lost Sir Clive this week. Sir Clive Sinclair passed away. I believe it was yesterday, Bo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
I think it was yesterday.
He had been ill for a while, Bo, and finally passed away. I think it was 81. And so we're gonna do a little bonus show after this one about just a little thing about Sir Clive, kind of celebrate his life. And I put a little video together to show in the background here. So if you're interested in just a little tribute to Sir Clive with some real nice art here from Duncan Styles, check this out. I just did this on the spur of the moment because I felt so inclined because here we are, a couple Americans. This didn't get a load of news coverage here in the States. I don't think I saw it anywhere, but I know I saw it a lot on the net, everywhere, Slashdot and all the places that you wouldn't normally expect. So this was a huge deal, and people look back on Sir Clive with a lot of good times and joy in their heart. So we will miss the great man, and but this is just a little tribute I put. So if you want to watch that, it's about 3 minutes. You can check that out, Boaster. Now, last on the docket, but certainly not least, it's Frodo back again. Holy smokes! It's like Frodo. It's like, what would Aaron want to watch? And every week when I go to see what we've got on our channel, I'm like, holy crap! And this is another one. The first years of the Atari 7800 boat. Now we both have 7800s.
Yes.
And we both have some games to 7800.
Big pilot carts.
It is not what I would call a much ballyhooed system, is it, Bode?
No. I mean, it does have its fans. It's definitely more ballyhooed than the 5200.
Yeah, and it's backwards compatible with the 2600, so it's got that going for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Ninja Golf. It's got Food Fight. It got the only home port of Map Mania. So, I mean, it's got something going for it. It's got a heck of a version of Asteroids on it. Mm-hmm. It's got a decent version of Galaga on there. There's some games on it, man.
Yeah.
But the first years would have been, actually, this thing had been sitting in a shelf for a couple years before the first years of it were released. So I'm trying to have a stockpile.
I believe it was originally slated for release in late 1984.
Look at that Miss Pac-Man boat. Which
is beautiful. If this thing would have been released on time, it could have been a different world, man.
Xevious. I mean, listen, this thing can go. So and once again, much like Flack, Frodo is Commander Entertainment. I should mention, Boat, that as of the recording of this, I'd say the day this comes out on YouTube, Frodo will be in the midst of his 12-hour marathon to celebrate his subscriber count. So pop over and check out Frodo and Ella's Twitch channel on Saturday. This will be Saturday, September 18th. And give him some love, Boat.
Yeah.
He's going for it. I'm going to be in there when we're not doing ICC to give this man some love because he's a good guy and he deserves a lot of people to be in there on his big day. So good job, Frodo. Congratulations, my friend. I think that's all we got here, Boat. Did you and the Neil start getting anything this week?
Oh, yeah. We released a show on Saturday, and of course, we were talking about what was one of the biggest stories to break in the entire retro scene over the past month or so. This is the Otta and Heritage auction collusion, where it's been alleged that Otta is essentially working with Heritage Auctions and setting up shill bidding to raise the price artificially of their sealed games. And so we talk about the report that came out on YouTube from Carl Jobst, or however you say his name. And so we talk about that. Here's an interesting little story, Aaron. We talk about these new arcade 1-Up Junior cabinets.
You guys buried these things.
Yeah, it's this is nostalgia. It's playing on a market of nostalgia for things that happened, 40 to 50 years before kids that are supposed to be using these things were born. It would be like giving your kid an old-timey radio and tell them to go to town.
Yeah. I listened to this part of the show. If I could just pop in, I want to make a hot take on this.
Okay, man.
Now, I'll grant you these things are probably overpriced, but it's been to my knowledge over the years that if you set a little kid down in front of a very simple game, that they will get a lot of pleasure out of this. I remember sitting down with Luke and playing Berserk, for example, and he would play it over and over. He thought this was great. So I suspect if I put the right game on a little arcade machine like that in a little tiny kid's room, they may get some play. I don't think they're just going to necessarily instantly kick it to the curb. Now, that much said, these things have a shelf life with the kid. There's no doubt about that.
And it also, like so many other things, depends on what the kid is already using. If this is the kid's first video game, they're going to think this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to them. But if the kid is already well-versed on the tablet, if they've got the iPad, if they're playing Roblox, this is going to be of limited appeal, I believe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the 1-Up arcade 1-Up people, they mint money like it's going out of style, and I'm sure these things are going to sell like hotcakes because tons of parents are going to want to foist their memories and their games onto their kids. So
I wish that's what it is.
Yes. What else could it be?
I mean, I got my kid to play that stuff, and he likes it. You're talking about a kid who plays Spectrum games stuff, but I don't necessarily think I forced him into it. I think some kids dig it. Some kids don't. I will say this. All right. If you look at a full-size 1-Up arcade game, right, without the pedestal,
I'm looking at one right now.
It can't be much bigger than that, and one would wonder why you wouldn't get your kid one of those.
It is much bigger than that. These things are only 36. These things are only 36 inches high. That's 3 feet high, Aaron.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, you could get a little kid a chair, and they could play those, and you would have a lot more longevity. Like this thing, if the kid grows at all, they're going to look like a hunchback trying to play Pac-Man and stuff. So I wonder about the brilliance of that. But it was.
Well, they're not thinking long term. They're looking to make a quick buck. That's what they're in business like everybody else is. So anyway, you can check that out. And of course, it was our 50th episode of This Week in Retro.
Congratulations, Bo.
Thank you,
and Neil.
We just kind of looked back on the good times. Duncan put together a pretty funny blooper reel.
Yeah,
that you can page through, and congratulations to my co-host Neil. And we hope to do 50 more. So this week in retro.
Here's the stunning. If anything came out of this show, I couldn't believe that somehow Duncan had captured some point in time where Neil screwed something up. I'm baffled by that because he's a smooth operator.
It rarely happens.
That's a rarity. It's a rarity. I guess before we move on, but I should go ahead and talk about the International Computer Club. This is as good a place as any. So
less than 24 hours away, Aaron.
Yeah. The International Computer Club is a little thing that we put together, because we had a computer club that kind of like we couldn't meet because of the things that were going down with the pandemic and whatnot. And so we thought it might be fun to, do a one on the computer, And lo and behold, we put this together, and we've had a good time with it. I think this will be like the fourth one, that we're trying. It's going to be, as we're recording this, it'll be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's September 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be broadcasting this thing on Twitch. If you're in our Discord, you can join us in Discord via the International Computer Club voice channel. We'll have a good lineup, I think we've got about 6 or 7 people that are going to be putting stuff out there. And Chris is in there, and Doug, and Graham, and David Z. A bunch of people are in there. And I was pleased as punch to see the people come in, because I didn't know if we'd had left enough time to get people interested this time around. You never know with these things. I always wonder if we're going to be doing the last one, because every time I'm like, what are people going to do? Want to do another one? But people seem to be kind of into it,
Yeah, man.
And so it should be a good time. Oh yeah, Dave's gonna. Oh, I know what Dave's got in store. I'm not going to tell it. It'll be fun.
Oh. I've been preparing for this mentally for the past month.
In other words, you bought a bottle of whiskey is what you're saying.
Several. So I am going to be large and in charge of International Computer Club. I cannot wait.
Well, I hope it'll be fun. I hope everybody has a good time. So that will be tomorrow again at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone's invited. If you're on the Discord, pop on in. Even if you don't have anything to talk about, you can just pop in. And if you want to, you can talk. Or if not, you can just sit there. And we'll also have the Twitch stream going. So it's Double Trouble Boat. That's tomorrow night. Should be a lot of fun, my friend.
Sounds good. All right, Aaron, it's time to talk about the most popular part of the show, and that is the Patreon Song Challenge.
Is that what that is?
That's what that is. Well, you know, people mostly tune in, I've heard, to just listen to the Patreon song. They don't really know what the Amiga is, nor do they care. They just know that a gifted songster is forming his craft.
No, it's crap. I agree with that.
So last week's Patreon song was Cemetery Gates by the Smiths. By the Smiths, Aaron. Do you consider the Smiths to be college music?
You got that right. Are you kidding me? What a dumb question.
So I want to congratulate Mitsuyama, Hermsky, Eric Nelson, Jigglebox, Pac Billy, and Z9K9. And Eric Nelson plucked a line from the song. He said, "If you must write prose and poems, the words you use should be your own."
Oh, God.
And so that's what I do.
I bet he had a beer in his hand when he plucked that thing out of the song.
That's what I do. I change. I play the same music, but the words, of course, are my own.
Sorry, HMI just amused me. HSI. Go ahead, Bo.
So, if you know the answer to this week's Patreon Song Challenge, send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com. And I will read your name on the air as a winner next week. If you are watching live in the chat on Twitch, or if you're watching this on YouTube, the only way you need to send it to me, don't post it in the chat, just send me an email, and that's how you get on. So, anyway, here we go. Take it away, the June Bugs, with our newest song, Hit It.
Hermsky Wanderly Chesum, Mark Richardson, David Hearn, Chris Edwards, Ramo K, David Terrace, Jude Carlos, Matthew Mobius, the Phantom Magnus, Seth Yates, Alistair Fiend, Christian Russo, David Z, George Rosansky, The Amiga Show, Daniel Crabtree, Superfamiky, Crazy Loomis, William Venterscar, Heavy Systems Inc., Bundy Frag Lord, Mark Violent, Olavo, and then Hermsky, Jonah, AK Simulant, Alien Breeder, David Velociraptor, Calvert Boy, Langdonson, Luke Hudson, John Field Bomb, The Base, Frodo and Al, Soul and Slicer, Tech Mate Jurgen, Mr. Cola, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dinnington, Zorg, Love Reflections, Simon Ledge, Captain Crispy, Kilobytes, Cappy, Gary Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Bob Sturmlinator, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, Bernard Quinn, RMC, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Letter, Rob O'Hara, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Shanzo, Barkbit, Rolenberg, Andrew Monk, Joe the Zombie, Leif Kelland, Alan Kebab, Checo Day, Levelo, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CDC, The Slow Norris, Stefan, Sorgon Mortensen, Ed Van Helen, Christopher Haas, Russell, Ravi Abbott, Chris Folds, Lauren Giroux, Graham Bebke, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro Vintage, Gary Hucker, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Taves from the Crib, Josh Nana Bradley, Jonas Rouleau, T.H. Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Holmberstein, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warnes, Pixels like Don Pure, Bjorn
All right. So we want to thank a Lob Exterminator on the keys, doing some great synth work there. Graham Bebke, who appears courteous of courtesy.
He is courteous.
He does appear. He appears courteous, and he appears courtesy of Red Symbols.
Both these guys are courteous to you.
That's true. That's true. And I'd like to thank myself because
I would like to throttle yourself. Horrible.
So. What we're going to do next, Aaron, is we're going to take a look at our high score challenges that are going on right now on the old Discord. Right now, the Amigos high score challenge is going on right now. It is Mind Walker, that early release by for the Amiga. I think it's a 1985 release. Not too many of those. Pajaco's got a score up there along with Z9 and K9. Over on the Specky high score side of things, we are playing Mikey all month, getting ready for the next episode of Our Sinclair.
This game. Oh, man.
Yeah. And once again, Z9K9 and Pajaco have scores up there, but feel free to put your own up. I think maybe tomorrow, as I'm preparing myself for International Computer Club, I'm going to submit some scores to both these challenges just to get my name on the board. I know I've got no hope of winning, but I enjoy it, man.
If you'd asked me, if you'd said, listen, what's the game that there's no chance it's a port of, brother? That would have been right near the top of the list right there.
I agree. All right. Now, Aaron, it's time to thank our lovely, lovely Twitch subscribers. If you're watching the show right now on Twitch, chances are you know some of these people. We got Summer Sausage, Am I Steph, Wishbone, Pie Gravity, Oil of Hope, Arctic Cube, Macintosh Librarian, Zoin Suck 1, Worlds of Rogue, Negsol, Vector Funk, Chris Edwards Restoration, Beach Bum 7, Scumboy, Jason Warnes, Memories of a Spectrum Gamer, Jigglebox, Dryerlent 17, Stormy 97 70 79 70,
wow.
Longshank 7, Gary Hucker, Rushi MSX, Datadog UK, John Marshall 3, Happy Coding ZX, Mitsuyama, Twilight Zoner, Zezerfall, R-Typer, Explorer, Buck Owens, Wide World of Retro, Matt Dufort, Mindrax, Rob O'Hara, Deadlouse 75, L. Curtis Boyle.
Oh, hell.
Eeyore 4077, Zatamune, Blue Train, 48K Ram, Captain Chaos DK, Still Adolescing, Knight Rider 82, Piplo, Paul Kitching, Gary Heather, Amiga Live, Great Al G, Lobsterminator, McChessers, Duncan Styles, Frodo and L, Barkbit, Lumen 808, Rod CL34, OROM, HSEI Ken, Uber Scuba Diver, Blow Jellyfish, Daha Crabs MTG, Robin Wendell, Mike Ia 3000, and Octa.
You became a DJ there at the end of that list. You were really getting into it. Man, what a lineup, eh?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. That's the all-star cast, Boat. Holy smokes.
All right, Aaron. Next week's a big week on Amigos. We are going to be taking a look at one of your favorite games, Aaron.
One of mine? No.
It's a Boat and Aaron pick week, and we're playing Primal Rage.
Yes, that's one of our most popular videos, by the way.
Is it
Primal
really?
Rage. Yeah, it is. I don't know why. That's awesome, dude. Primal Rage. I got nuggets of information to lay down on the Primal Rage. Beautiful.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks as always for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then,
Adios.
Adios.